Okay, here I have another boombox. This is quite a big one this time. This is an Aiwa brand CA-W75, a carry component system. I don't think there's anything component about it, but only the fake sort of component look. Definitely all one piece, but I guess this has got separate speakers. So it's another one of these ones they're sort of referring to as component, even though it's not really. Looks like quite a nice unit. They always made really good equipment. Aiwa, I was always a fan of their stuff. Everything from Walkmans to hi-fi amps and stuff. And not so much the high-end sort of larger amps and stuff, but I do have a system here somewhere that was all built into one box. These actual components, tape deck, tuner and amplifier, which I must get back onto. That needed new belts and stuff. That was ages ago, and that's been sitting around for years now, so I'll have to get onto that. But this one is what we're looking at the moment. Speakers, despite having large boxes, don't look much bigger than the usual ones, so they look like they might be slightly more powerful. And we have a little spider, go away. And I don't think it's got much else about it particularly exciting, other than we've got a 5-band graphic equalizer, balance volume, only a few LEDs, no LED level meter or anything exciting. It's got a CD auxiliary input. So we've got metal normal, little Dolby noise reduction on or off. So a little bit more in the way of functions than the usual one. I can't actually remember what the story is with this. I think it mostly runs, but I could be wrong. That's probably where our spider came from. This has been sitting around a while. We've got a nice cobweb on the back. What have we got? A mic input, oscillator or beat switch, 12240 switch. Not perfectly clean in there, but not bad. A little bit of green corrosion on those battery terminals at that end. External speaker. I don't think I have tested this, because look at that. We've got our speakers plugged into our auxiliary input rather than our external speaker one. So June 1987 it says it was manufactured down in there. So this is definitely a sort of later one. And I quite like this era. They were the sort of black ones with the sort of, a lot of them with the fake Sony type square speakers. They at least had the square surrounds and stuff to make them look more like that. I quite like the aesthetics of this sort of era. Yeah, most of them I think were black by this stage. But yeah, that actually says 1987, so that's handy to know. So I've got a good spread of years so far. And I do have a big silver one that's similar to this. It's probably from the same sort of year. But we'll plug this in and actually see if it does anything. It's got a square type plug. Hopefully a figure 8 fits it though. I forgot how many of these had the square ones. I think Panasonic, Sharp and looks like Aiwa too used them. Where are we? Radio. I'm not seeing anything. Have I got power? No, I haven't. Here we go. I've got an operation light. I can hear a hiss from, that's up quite loud. I'll set the graphic equalizer to the middle. Giving us the radio, it's not very noisy. Where's our, oh there it is. FM AM, might be on muting. Ooh. We're not getting much out of this at all. Tape runs. Tape runs. These got the smaller pinch rollers, so I'm guessing one of the generic mechs. I think it is, I can't really make out which auto stop. I think it's the one with the little metal lever that points up towards the take up reel. Yeah, so they're going, I think. So no tape faults, that's probably the first one so far, I think. Oh, that's just me not pressing it right, I think. So we might have an amplifier fault or something for once. Power's on. That definitely works. Dolby, metal, dubbing, tape, auxiliary CD, and we've got nothing. We've got a little bit more noise on radio. I'm not getting any sign of music coming out of the tape though, on tape. Tape is muted. Muted. Oh, it's there. I can just hear. I can hear someone talking. out of that channel. Interesting. So it looks like this has actually got an audio issue. Well, the fact the tapes are running means it wasn't disposed of for a tape deck fault. Well, these press release that way. It's always fun working out how to get these speakers off, but it comes up, it's just full of grit, I think. A lot of friction there. Oh, yeah, it's dirty. That was the problem, you can see all the dirt grated into it, so that's going to need a good clean off probably to get that a bit easier to remove. Now the wires are all tangled. Very hollow plastic sounding speaker boxes, that's for sure. That one comes off a bit easier. And I better unplug it, I guess. So we only seem to have one channel. Where on earth did that come from? And there's a screw down in there according to this. Can I reach it with that? No. This is why I own a very big long screwdriver. Even though I didn't fix that many of these sort of things, I always did a few of them. Usually much newer ones than this, but companies like Cash Converters and that I used to fix a bit of stuff for could give you anything to fix. But I don't remember them really doing these older boom boxes. I don't think they're interested. Normally the CD type ones is the ones they would send for repair. I guess they could buy these things so cheap back then that they would have just chucked them out if something went wrong with them. Certainly tight, these screws. I don't think anyone's been in here for a long time. So it's made in Taiwan, this one. So even though it's an Aiwa, it's not a Japanese one, but that's not that surprising. In this sort of era, they're getting into competition with the Koreans and stuff, so... And it looks like I say, generic mechanisms. It's not going to be anything too fancy, this thing, I don't think. Yeah, they're definitely generic mechanisms. Old EG500 9B motor, 9 volts, 2000 and 4000 RPM counterclockwise. So it's a dual speed dubber as you'd expect. Until I saw that Mitsubishi one, I didn't even realise a single speed dubbing boombox was a thing. So there's some sort of amp chip here, obviously. A couple of power transistors. I'm guessing it's going to be something like someone's blown up the amplifier, because that's the sort of thing people do. And we've got some dodgy looking brown glue here, which is never a good sign. It's starting to go a bit dark brown around the edges, which can be a sign it's that moisture absorbing glue that shorts things out, but I doubt it would matter much in a boombox. But it also corrodes things. It's got some weird white stuff around the tuning cord there. I guess I should almost pull those mechs out here. There's the little idlers, which are standard. So I don't think they're the ones with the plastic. Pretty sure they're not the ones with the little plastic bit that wobbles up and down for the auto stop. But I might pull them out later and have a look. Let's see if we can get something out of this thing. So we're going to need the power transformer hooked up, I guess. What have we got here? 2 speaker connections, battery and transformer. That's all that's really down in there. And that goes to the headphones. So that obviously they must run the power down this little connector, as well as the speakers, so that the headphones can drop them out. And I mean, we had power LED and it looked okay, so, and the tape was running at what looked like normal speed. So I don't think we've got a power issue. So how do we test? Well, we've got 2, that's all that brown glue is right on those transistors. I might pick a bit of that off and have a quick look. I'm sure this stuff was designed to cause problems, but maybe I'm just being cynical. Yeah, that is starting to go a bit bad, but I don't think it's causing any issues yet. Probably ideally wants completely removing. Certainly doesn't hurt to get rid of the stuff. At least where it's on anything that can corrode or anything. And the next question is, what sort of amp chip have we got? And what are the connections to it? Well, that's obviously earth. I'd say I've probably got 2 channels down the sides, probably a few little caps and stuff. Shouldn't be very complicated, I wouldn't think. As you pull that heatsink off, it may have a burnt out top or something. But I wouldn't mind just checking those 2 transistors to see what we got. As far as voltages, multimeter's always in a knot. Let's see, that's ground. Around 10 volts on that pin, 14 volts on that pin. Well, that would be probably the collector, the input. That's probably the base, which is slightly higher than what is probably the emitter. As you'd expect, 7 volts, that's a bit different. 14 volts. Oh, this doesn't look so happy. Whether it should be. So what's connected to that? No, that's there. So no, I don't think we'd have dual rails in this thing, but 7.1, that should be a bit higher, 7.9, and that came off the same 14 by the look of it, so that's probably okay. And that was on around 9 volts. How many volts is the battery? That would probably be something to go. I think what was there? It was a 9 volt motor, I think, wasn't it? EG500N9B, 9 volt DC. So this the main rail is 9 volts in this thing. We know that much, and we know it runs because the motor's running. The LED's on, and I would assume this amplifier runs off the same thing. I reckon that's a filter cap across here. That'll be our rail there. I know it runs off straight off the 14 volts when we're on AC, which probably makes sense, I guess. 13. Don't think we're going to find much DC without. That's got that 7 volts on it by the look of it. Both sides are probably set up similar, I think, in these sort of chips. We've got a line in but not a line out. Because a line out would be very handy just to see if there was radio there. Interestingly, the tape decks didn't seem to unmute. He's got all the different voltages each side. The question is, where is the volume control? That is right here. And in every piece of audio equipment, the connection between preamp and amplifier is your volume control, basically, so that's always a good place to start. Up the ground. We're on radio, yep. Should be at least some hash or something coming through. I'm not seeing anything. Got the balance control. Should be something here. I can hear us very low voice there. I should be able to get a reading. That sounds like that channel because I can hear a noise come out of the speaker when I touch it. And it's adding hum to it. God, that's got to be the weakest signal in history. One of those things muted. What's it making it hum? When I'm on ground, that would suggest the amp's fine. That's another way of just testing it. Put your finger on there and inject the signal. Gonna be interesting when it's muted. I've got a pop from the other channel. Ah. So I'll say the amp is fine. I just assume that someone had probably blown it up because that's a kind of user accessible thing, which is more likely to be failed or destroyed or damaged or whatever than anything else. So I've got one channel radio, very faintly. So where does it mute is the next fun part. Got a radio tape switch. Switching down there, so that's the radio. So we've got the radio section over here. I might have a quick poke with the oscilloscope there because surely we should have some loud audio coming out of that. So I've got probes stuck under everything. We got some muck on there. Some muck. It's a oscilloscope. Oh, here we go. Mountains of audio there. And we're about to try the other noise. Let me just get this oscilloscope set a bit better. Yeah, mountains of it. So there's how many? That's only on 20 millivolts division. But there's 100 millivolts or more there, and yeah, same on that one. So that comes out of that board all right. Goes down to the switches. Now, how does it get from the switches? I might even have to see if I can find a circuit for this thing, but I see two transistors near those switches. Could they be muting? Then I see two inductors near those switches. What on? Don't tell me it's a Dolby thing or something. But of course I can't see any of it because I can't move the board. Toshiba TA. Oh, we've got a Sony 7801, 7B01, A1102, not sure which one's the number. Dolby chip there. But that would only be the tape section. So you got your tape heads. That's your tape section, obviously, to some degree. There's another deck. Record playback switch. So that's all tape, I think. That's got to go through the function switching before heading to the amp. So somewhere out of these function switches we should get an audio signal across here. Nothing obvious around the amp. Power, Dolby, tape, so that will all go into the tape stuff. Dubbing mic, high speed, FM mode. We've got two transistors there, look like they could be muting. What are they going to? Into this. Well, that's the tape position switch. Why have I got two inductor type things here? What on? Two like almost IF little adjusters, but they're more tape bias oscillator stuff. Well, there's the. They're in the Dolby. Well, I'm gonna have a go at those. Look at those two transistors there. One. Where were they? Those two things there, I think. Though, if they're muting, I guess we're not going to get much of a signal there, but see if there's something around there maybe. Could be a resistor feeding into them or something. That's ground, well, look at it. So they do go to, is that ground? No, I don't think that's ground. I don't know what they do. I don't think they're muting. Well, the radio switch is, I'm not actually going pressed in at the moment. That doesn't help. Nothing. Nothing. What? Heap of signal there. So maybe this is muted somewhere. Go to the radio switch. Oh, well, there's one. Come back. Or is it? Why can't I get a signal? It shot up for a second. What the? What am I touching? Looks like it pops up a signal and then disappears. Okay, so I'm not getting a signal from that wire, which comes across to that connector, and surely just goes straight in that switch. You can't be serious. There it is. Those two. Where on earth does that connector go to then? Does that go to those inductor things? It does. What in the... Yeah, it comes back out there. Then it goes to this other switch. So we've got audio on the non-radio switch, that'd be right. Which probably just because that switch bypasses, or maybe it, yeah, it runs the signal through when you're not in radio mode. Okay, so we've got signal coming along here. These two, which goes into, I think, that one and that one. Beautiful. What happens here though? You go to these points on the board and then it doesn't go any further. Oh, it comes back up these lines? No, is that the lines I just came up? Oh, man. Comes through that, back through that. It goes to a different pin. It goes to this big switch, which is the tape one. And it comes out there, which comes along here, along here, along here, along here to... Ooh, what's this? This other switch maybe? And now I'm going long enough earth. God damn it. Ah, now that falls off. Yeah, little sodding. That'd be bloody right. Maybe if we go to that earth. Where was I chasing? I can't even remember now. Along to this switch here, I think. Well, that's all ground. Well, it ain't there. Oh, here we got audio. There we got audio. There we got audio. I assume one of these others with it. We've got two audio lines here. They come along. Goes to the bleeding volume control. I was just on the bleeding volume control. Okay, I changed my mind. It goes to the volume board. It doesn't get to the volume control. What the flippin'... So it could still be muting transistors up here, I guess. Which pins? What's the bloody graphic equalizer board? That's a new one. Those two pins, one of which comes to whatever this is. Is that my imagination, or is that bloody... No, it goes to this one. Got the wrong thing. It goes to a... What have we got here? I think we've got a chip on here. Okay, so could we have lost voltage to that chip or something? Or do we have a dud? Oh man, yeah, I bet we've lost voltage to it. We should have 2 pins with inputs. I bet we've got no outputs. Still only seen one bit of audio so far. Might be right next to the other one. We've got audio on that second pin down there. Where's our other audio come in? It's one of them. That's the other one. So these 2 lines, that other one diverged and went down here, went along. Oh, we got a second chip. Oh my god. So which pin is it? The same one? Oh, you son of a... So we've got 2 chips. Where did it come down here somewhere? Is that the pin? Oh, so maybe the other one's, yeah, it's around the other way around, because it's the second pin, but from the bottom. And on the opposite side. Okay, so we know that much. So we've got audio to our graphic equalizer and nothing out of it. My guess is we're missing a rail. If we've got 2 chips out. We've got nothing on that pin. I don't know if we should have. It doesn't look like, oh, it's connected to the volume, so it'd be an out. We've got 2 audio ins, we know that. That's ground. We've got 7 volts there. And there'll be another output, I'm guessing. Okay, so this board, basically in these any audio amplifier, you basically have your input selection, followed by your tone control, followed by your balance and volume control, and then into your amplifier. So the fact we've got this, I've already determined that the signal goes through the function switches, comes across here, goes into this board with the preamp and volume control on it. And we've got about, what is it, 6 wires here, so it's pretty obvious what we've got here, which is, you know, you don't need a circuit or anything. We've got 2 audio channels in, 2 audio channels out, and voltage and ground basically. So you can see this one, as soon as you see big areas of copper, you're probably on the ground. This one's in between what looks like the audios and stuff. So I can instantly recognise that as the ground pin. I've just marked this other one here because that is our power. That little 7-volt regulator I was looking at, 7-8 volts, whatever it's actually meant to be. I can actually use the ground here now. 7.1 volts. And that makes the rest of these audio. I found with the oscilloscope 2 here, I've got an audio signal coming in, and I should be able to, I've only got 1 speaker plugged in, but that's one. I guess we could, these have got quite long leads on it. I can probably plug, can I reach the other one? No, maybe not. Oh, I'm plugged into that side anyway, aren't I? You can use the old signal tracer known as your finger if you're on low voltage equipment like this. So if we had both speakers, you could just touch those and find we've got an output, so we know the amp chip's good. We've got voltage into this circuit, so we know that's good. We've got, I might just show the oscilloscope what it looks like, that we've got an audio signal. One of the rare instances where you may need an oscilloscope is just to see if there's an audio signal there, which is at that pin and that pin. So that's our channels. Okay, so that's what the oscilloscope looks like on each channel. We don't really care too much about the signal level and stuff, just that we've got an audio signal there and it's a reasonable sort of amplitude. So we'll have a look at this little board now. And I need to get the multimeter in shot. I've got a couple of black marks here because I had a quick look at this. So that's our 7 volts in. That's the second pin down, or up, down from the top panel I guess, because we were actually facing down flat, and I found it came across to here, and then on the other side, or whatever that is, which is where it must go, nothing. So I'm guessing that's a resistor, and if it's got voltage on one side and not on the other, it's either gone open circuit because it's a fusible or something. So I'll turn the power off, or it's got a short circuit, or either way it probably has a short circuit if it's either a highish value resistor and it's got no voltage on the other side because there's just a short there but it hasn't burnt out, or if it has burnt out because it's a fusible or something. Does that just come out, or I think we're going to take the knobs off this, so I'm going to have to flick these knobs off. There's a little knob on each one. I guess at least we can give them a clean while we've got them off. Just got them off. So here's our board. Oh, these are actually labelled, so there you go. If I took the board out first, we've got left out, right out, which I found by getting hum with my fingers, B plus ground, left in, I guess that's left dash I, R dash I. There's a ground test point here even, isn't that nice of them? And where am I at? That little black dot, that's why I put it there so I could find it. So we've got a, looks like a 100 ohm resistor there, brown, black, brown. So of course I could have measured that to see what it said before, but let's just measure this thing. And interestingly, it's coming up with 50 ohms. So maybe there's something else across that somewhere, but there is a resistance there. And we know, as I showed before, that there's nothing on that side, 7 volts on that side, so that's dropping everything. So next test will be continuity. Go back to our ground, and yeah, that's shorted. So at least we know which rail it is now. That goes into like the pin 1, probably that chip. They are a chip, I assume. I didn't even take any notice. There they are. They're a BA3812, so probably some sort of graphic equalizer chip. That'll no doubt go across to the same pin on the other one. It's this track here, this track here. We've got something which is probably just a link. Yeah, wire link. Across, 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 and yeah, to the pin on the other one. And then we've also got something else here, which is this 100 mic 10 volt cap on the end. So we could have one of these chips is shorted to ground. Also possible that capacitor's faulty, pretty unlikely, but given the age of this stuff now, we are starting to see a few dud electrodes, and these chips are normally super reliable. They're low power, linear type ICs, Japanese made or designed at least. Even though this thing's made in Taiwan, so it could be made in Taiwan as well, but generally very unlikely to fail. So I might even see if we can unsolder that capacitor. I better be careful, we've got a dial cord here, just be super careful of. Can't really move this boombox back any further, but it's that thing there, isn't it? Try and disconnect this cap. Kind of loose. Oh, there goes the dial cord. That's loose enough. Now I've got a short from, that should be ground on the other side, I would assume. Double check it, but yeah. Ooh, I think it is the cap, because we're getting now a reading of, it's fairly low still, 0.1. Ooh, yeah. That's a shorted electro. If we, making sure nothing's shorting out, fire this up, of course it's gonna work, isn't it, with flat out volume. So there you go, that's obviously got the 7 volts back. Come on, Fluke, what are you doing? 6.5 volts, so it's a little bit lower through that resistor, and if I touch that cap on, it dies. So we do have a muting circuit. It's a 100 mic 10 volt or something. Don't know what brand that is, YEC or something cap. But some of these, I think, just from sitting around not being used, some of these caps are failing for the same sort of reason the tape decks fail. So I finally got a bit of electronic fault diagnosis, which is what I actually like doing, rather than messing around changing belts and grease and stuff. It's always fun to go chasing a voltage and stuff like that. Well, thankfully I've actually mostly got 63 volts because I just used to replace them in televisions pretty much, but I do have a couple of smaller 25 volt ones, thank God. Don't know where they came from, but normally I just had the big ones, because in TVs heat and stuff usually gets them, so it doesn't hurt to have a bigger cap anyway. Bigger physical size, even though you are meant to kind of run them close to their rated voltage, I believe. But I never had any comeback from doing that. But yeah, thankfully, I mean, I probably could have fitted one of those big ones in there anyway, but better to go with something like the size, I guess. Do the noise test. So a simple electronic fault, and it was on the equalizer board of all things. But you know, it's pretty straightforward. You don't really need circuits for these things because you're dealing with the same thing over and over, basically the same general setup. So a board like this has to have 2 channels in and 2 channels out and some voltage to run it if it's not just passive components. Some of these are just passive, the earlier ones just the tone controls and stuff, and that's our culprit. One little dead electro that can go in the rubbish. So, oh actually I better give this a clean, I guess. Start doing it while I've got pieces actually off the unit. There's a lot of, it's not just the knobs that are a bit dirty, it's the holes there too, down the bottom below where the knobs go. Maybe I should have given them a clean before I even put the equalizer board back in, but I think we'll be alright to clean that up. These are hardly worth the bother, but there is a bit of dust on one side of them. Where's the damp patch gone? But this one is at least a fairly clean unit, so that makes a nice change. Give those switches a clean. I guess they should all be out when I do that. If they're really dirty, you could take all the switches out, I guess. So yeah, press that one. Clean those slots out. And yeah, there's a lot of dust behind the volume knob and stuff, so yeah, each little slot's full of dust, of course. Not just on the bottom, all the way up, which is strange, but good chance to clean them out. And put our volume back. They go a particular way. I can see a little red piece there, but I don't think it really, that'd be down if anything, wouldn't it? You don't want to see that. They got a little red dot on one side for some reason. And I think that's as far as I go. I need to clean the rest. And, well, we don't know if we've got any scratchy pots or anything, do we? I was going to say I don't think we've got any scratchy pots, but I haven't actually heard any audio out of it yet, so other than that brief bit, and a nearly muted radio station on one channel. For some reason that was still getting through. I don't know how that one was getting through. There's a bit of crosstalk there or something, I reckon. Possibly where the circuit board tracks. I don't know if I could actually get across circuit board tracks at an audio level thing. Probably not, you wouldn't think, but it'll be nice to get this one cleaned up because I quite like this one. This is probably one of the nicer boomboxes I've got. Probably not the highest end one in a way because I've got that old sharp one, but for me I'd much prefer the look of this thing. But I don't think it's any Boombox collector's dream box or anything, but I just like this era. I guess once you sort of grow up in a certain era and you think these are the really good ones, that's what you stick to. Or maybe it's just always an aesthetic choice. To me the silver ones were always kind of old, and a lot of them were not very nice looking for some reason. But there are some quite nice earlier boomboxes. Just a matter of taste, what people like. I think this era kind of just looked just the right amount of modern, even though a lot of the later black boomboxes are very bland. That knob almost needs to come out, that tuning knob. Actually, I would be a lot smarter if I cleaned it from behind, since I can access it at the moment, can't I? That would have made more sense. Better just be careful I don't go hitting the dial cord off or anything. That does have a bit of corrosion on it, but that way I can get right to the whole knob, or the whole visible part anyway. Yeah, it looks a lot better. And did I finish what I was doing here? I'll just go along those tape decks under the doors, get rid of that. Do that phone socket because that's got a heap of dust in it. Yeah, it looks a ton better. Tape buttons need doing. This might actually be the first one I don't actually have to fix a tape deck. That would actually be awesome if I don't have to change any belts or anything like that, just an electronic fault, because that was the bread and butter really. The electronic fault, you can get in and quickly fix it and the thing's going and you're out of there. No messing around for ages with fiddly little mechanical bits. So yeah, pretty rare to see an electronic fault in a boombox, especially given the age of them now. The electronics is the one thing that kept going in them, but some of these capacitors do seem to fail. I mean, I've had them failing things that actually work, like tuners and stuff, and they run for an hour and then suddenly they stop working, and it's some capacitors shorted out in it, electrolytic like that. Okay, can we finally give this thing a proper test? Get both speakers hooked up. And power on. Uh-oh. No! I've killed it. What have I done? I bet I've pulled on that connector or something. No, I've pulled on the other connector. Had to be one of those two. So I've got no speakers connected, I don't think, because the rotten power connector's coming out. Then we've got one channel missing because I fiddled with the balance. Shut up. Graphic equalizer. Now, how do I tune this thing?
The time content has told Cambodians, I'll never give up. He's flipped around, but
Oh, it's the FM antenna, really,
in
isn't
the
it?
first few weeks. That suggests, after the election, that suggests he's confident. Bonanza has been groomed for this for a long time. He's Western educated, very different personality from his father, who of course had that.
Is that on one channel, or is it just because I've got the speaker on the floor?
Very different generation, much smoother, presentable, but probably lacks the kind of ruthless instinct.
Yeah, it's fine.
And while opposition parties.
So are you going to pick up on AM? FM, that switch is a little tight filling. Oh, no FM, what's going on? There's an AM mono stereo switch somewhere. Normal / stereo, don't know. Is the antenna unplugged or something? It's not connected for sure, because it needs to press on something here. What's it touch on? Must be that point, surely. Yeah, I think that's it.
And I'll be gone tonight. The ground beneath my feet.
Yeah, that's it. My thumb works better than my finger. Yeah, that's working. Shut that off. How do I get off? Go to tape. Nothing. I'm on tape. That's interesting. Nothing. Don't think it's got a second fault. Unless something has come unplugged or something. Dolby noise reduction light comes on. We know the amp's working. That's the tape input switch, and we've got all that tape circuitry. Don't think there's something up with that as well. We couldn't have two shorted capacitors or something in the one unit, surely. So that's the heads there for one deck anyway, and heads there for the other deck. You've got to be joking. It can never be simple, can it? I guess the other thing's got auxiliary inputs. They work fine. So that's the tape mode. And we had a connector where? There or somewhere? Yep, that was it. And the other one is there. There should be some audio coming out there somewhere. Oh, here we go. So could it be our Dolby chip? What else is there? There's some other chip or something by the look of it. Yep. So I'm guessing we're around maybe that. Is it the Dolby IC? Surely we don't have another missing rail here. But one short cap could mean there's another shorted cap somewhere. So being a portable device, it could be switched off when it's in radio mode and the like, which is where these things get a bit more complicated. But I don't think we've got any voltage on this Dolby chip, and I think regardless of whether we're in Dolby mode or not, we should. I think I am in Dolby mode. I don't know. Yeah, I've got the Dolby light on. Having it off didn't make any difference. Yeah, it's dead. That chip and this chip seem to be lacking voltages. The question is which pin should have the voltage on it. That one I almost wonder if that's something to do with it. That comes down to this switch. It's quite possible this switch should be switching something. That goes to another thing. That comes to there. I'm just kind of randomly chasing stuff at the moment. Anything that looks interesting. That's an audio line. That's an audio line. That's an audio line. That's an audio line. Probably an in and out on a particular channel. I'm not sure we're switching any voltages here, or if we are, they're missing. Where does that one go? There was a linky thing. Oh, that was, I've been to these. These are audio lines. I've been there before. Now, if worse comes to worse, I might have to look up the pin out of that chip. I'll turn the power off and unplug this. It's really annoying having a short cable. So we've got a few electrodes around here. I guess we should be looking at these 100 mic ones again. Well, that one is kind of, or is that on that second one there? Looks like it's yeah, it's only connected to the chip. So usually one of these end pins, I think, is, I guess we can look for a ground if nothing else. That's not ground. That is. That is, and what does that go to? A capacitor, so that's a potential for a, that goes to another capacitor. What do we got there? Another capacitor. I can't even find a pin that could be the positive on this thing. That is an interesting one, maybe. That's grounded, but is it ground? Hang on, that's not a faulty cap there, is it? Which one was that? This thing here. Well, that's ground. This is a capacitor and a low value resistor. Another, it looks very similar, another 100 ohm resistor. Well, that would measure the ground base size one. Don't tell me this is the same deja vu thing. Well, I guess we could check. This is where that marker pen comes in handy. Let's mark this and this. I can't imagine we got deja vu. Same fault again, but you never know. We need power. Always turns itself off. That's ground. No way. That resistor, 100 ohm resistor, 7.25 volts one side. And well, it goes into a thing. I'm not saying that's the fault, but man, that's got some similarities to the last one. It was shorted to ground, but it does have an inductor here. Who knows? I can't imagine we've got two caps through 200 ohm resistors that are shorted, but both 100 mic. But let's have a look. Stranger things have happened. I mean, if that's the case, I'm probably going to have to change every 100 mic capacitor in this thing. And who knows what the rest of the other caps are like. Continuity be good. Oh, no way. That resistor now measures 0.8, whatever that is. We're on diode test. That'll be the first time I've seen that, if that is the case. Bingo! No way! We've got the same fault twice, that's unbelievable. It's two faulty caps. One's taken out the tape, and one took out all the audio. That's unbelievable. I actually was going to say that cap is because it was a second 100 mic cappy. I think it's that little two pins there that was in a similar looking bit of circuit. I thought they must be something to do with the two channels. Out you come. And we've got negative facing this way. Wow. Mr. Shorty Cap. Oh, went up. Yep. As dead as they come. And here's another 100. Yeah, YEC 100 mic 10 volt. Amazing. Negative facing me. What is that? C320. So hard to read. 326. It's right near this little IF can. And some waxy stuff in the way there. Is it wax or glue? I'm not sure what it's called. Oh, I don't think it's wax. Got a big lump of glue there for some reason. It's gone down, fallen down inside there somewhere now. That's unreal. So there's definitely an issue with these Taiwanese caps, I think. Assuming they were made in Taiwan. Should have really hooked it into my bench speakers, I guess. That's it. That little cap there. Does it go into the third pin from the end of this chip? And we're upside down, which I think is pin. Is it pin 3? No, we're at the wrong end, I think. Anyway, it's the one with the Dolby symbol right next to it on the face of the chip. And there we have it. Both channels. Better check both decks. So we did have a tape fault in the end. Just not the one I was expecting. Well, that takes the cake. Pause works. All the functions work on that deck. Pause works. We want radio. Didn't get much to do without an antenna. Bit of highly illegal recording off the radio. Oh, that's not the best. So that kind of recorded over it, but didn't erase. So that's an erase problem, I think. So we'll give the record playback switch a squirt for starters. Get in there. I think we did a very good job, but anyway. Oh, we've got another problem. Probably another 100 microfarad capacitor in the bias oscillator or something. Would be my luck. Where is the erase header? Be that wire. That comes up here to this little. Oh yeah, well of course we've got the beat switch. That probably wants to clean as well, just in case it's something to do with that, because that changes the oscillator to different frequencies, so it doesn't interfere with the AM radio. And that's probably our little oscillator transistor there. Don't tell me there's another 100 microfarad cap there. Looks like there is. Well, I'm prepared for another one at this rate. Now, go back to radio. The other thing I can try is just recording over it. So if I do the same, we won't hit anything, we'll just hit record play with no input, and my guess is it's not going to record anything, it's not going to delete it, not going to erase the old signal. That's for a counter, it'd be handy to be sure, but no, I don't think we've got an erase oscillator either. Okay, I'm pretty sure I just saw a 100 mic cap there, so we'll have a look at that first, I think. That little one there. Because that'll be our oscillator, that's the transistor, that's the little coil. There's a couple other caps here. What's the bit that thing's shot? Worth a look. My first test is on diode test. We'll go across that cap. Ha! Get out of town. That's enough to make me unsolder that. Just loosened it off, but anyway, let's pull it out of the board a bit. Ha! We've got another one. Wow, this is quite the tally. I reckon if I leave this thing running, it might even kill a few more of the things off. That's amazing. 3 of the little. Yep, dead as. Oh, why not? Yep. Always right when I get it on there, it decides it's going to disconnect. But no, that was just me not holding the probes on it properly. Oh, I'll have to put a big one in there because I haven't got any small ones left. So these things are just being shorting out like, I don't know, that could have shorted, maybe it's me applying the voltage now. It's starting to get a few more of them to drop dead. These may not have all been dead at the beginning, who knows. Wow. But this is sort of stuff you didn't really see in the old days. It's rare to see a shorted electrode, but I've noticed it's getting more common in things now that they're so old. I mean, what was this, 1987? And I think it's, like I say, from not being used is the problem. If they keep getting reformed and stuff with the voltage, they seem to last, but you, whoops, leave them sitting around, just need to cut through my solder connections. Leave them sitting around doing nothing, they seem to go off. And it's not just drying out, it's for some reason they short out. Well, I'd say we've got erase again now. Wow, that's 3 of them in completely different circuits. Now, let's just hit play record. There you go, it's erased. there you go. Okay, let's just, I guess we could just leave it sitting here, see if anything else fails while we're looking at it. So that's 3 different faults. No sound off tape, and no erase. And that's 3 of those little things. One's already in the bin, they can join it. So I think ideally this unit should probably have all those capacitors replaced. I don't know how many's in there, there's probably dozens of the things. Because I'm looking here and I'm pretty sure that's another one. Which it is. Oh, by the way, that was near the pots, between the pots and the heatsink. Down here. Where are we? Those. Might be able to get it actually into the camera. You can never tell where anything is. But it's this capacitor here. So you got the amplifier, heatsink, 2 little pots, a little oscillator coil and switch, obviously. And I can't read what it is now. C337, I think, 337. But I've got another one there. I think every one of the caps about that size is going to be one. There's at least another, probably another one there. That's 2. That's another one. 3. Not that bad then. I think there was another one. Wasn't there another one here? Yeah, that was probably another one. 4. So that's only 4 so far. Possibly one in the radio. Is that it? It's not that bad then. Yeah, I think there's one in the radio as well. It's 5. What's that it? There's only about 5 of them. Problem is, what if some of these other values of the same capacitors start failing? Now, the other thing I might just quickly have a look at, the buttons on this are going to be hard to clean, otherwise is pull those tape decks out and just see what actual mix these are, out of interest, as well as these actually got copper coloured screws in them, like Marantz screws. Rather odd. Come on. Just on the tape deck, well, look of it. So maybe they had some left over from a Marantz job or something. They're a bit lighter colour, so probably not, but let's eject the doors. Of course, we've got the record switch hanging on by a big spring, just to make things fun. I should be able to push that spring out. Yeah, that's it. And yeah, it is the ones with the little metal bits pointing up. Be a good chance to clean some of the dust out of the decks generally. So they're only just sort of cheapo generic decks. They did the job alright though. Even some of the component units had them. Because at this point it was getting to the point I think they just weren't bothering to make their own decks anymore. A lot of people, there probably weren't the profits and the competition in the stuff anymore. We're getting into CD realm by this stage, so everyone was probably focused on making CD players. I'll get these buttons clean, it'll be handy. I don't know if you see that bottom. Oh, you would see them when they're up probably. Try and clean that bit underneath as well, I think, because I reckon you're going to see it if only if you really look, but still. But these are a pretty reliable mechanism usually if they didn't get too much use and abuse. It almost needs a bit of polish on these, I think. It might come off alright. The worst of it's off them. And a good chance to get the heads are clean and stuff. It's actually not in bad condition. These got the little tiny pinch rollers in them. I guess I should really check the belts if I can. Probably if I hold one belt. Oh yeah, it's a bit slippery. Actually, what's turning? It's turning the It's not that bad, but yeah, there's a bit of a lump in it. I can see it's been sitting in the one spot for quite a while. I think it's the other belt that's actually slipping, where this one won't turn the motor. The motor, if I turn the other one, it's actually turning the motor pulley, but this one's then slipping on the capstan. So they are very close to due to be replaced. I probably should really do it, but I don't really want to. I'd much prefer to get away with just a repair of some electronic faults, just for once. But I guess we want to hear maybe what these decks actually sound like in this thing, and to do that, and I mean, to be fair to this thing, this is largely, looking at all the stuff that's gone in, this is pretty much equivalent to a similar component deck of this era. It's probably got the same mechanism as many of them, at least some of the lower end ones anyway, and the everyday ones. And it's got the same sort of circuitry. We've got Dolby. Okay, I've changed the capacitors, the other 100 mic caps on that board. One on the radio board, and I think there was 3 in the other board. One of them turned out to be a 47 mic or something, so I didn't bother changing that one. And I've unplugged the cassette mechanism, so we can have a look at changing the belts in this thing. Just wondering how this wiring's all going to go, but do I need to, I think we've got the problem of a switch there in the way, but I could just unsolder the wires, might be the easiest way looking at this. Or can I, maybe I can just get access with a screwdriver. Oh yeah, thankfully they've made it so you can get it out. Let's take that screw out so it doesn't drop off and get lost, and I should be able to drop those belts out without any further problems. Now that's the upper one. Helps to take the lower one off first. It just does not want to drop, so I'm just going to get a screwdriver in there. If you wanted it to go on, it would fall off no problem, but when you want it to come off, no chance. Yeah, they're just sticking right up there for some reason. That belt's actually sort of bent upwards. Oh, come on. It does not want to come off that motor no matter what I do. But like I say, if I wanted it to come off, wanted it to go on, it would come off immediately, I bet. So these are the same size. Let's see, one's actually thicker than the other, strangely. So maybe someone's already replaced one of these, but they seem to be the same size, which is a great design. I love it when they do that. Although it can be a hassle when you're using an eBay belt kit, because you probably don't have that many of that size belt. But yeah, it's always a great design. To see them just using the one type. I mean, it makes sense from the factory's point of view to have just one part they got to stock. And I guess it's one less thing for the rest of us to worry about too. Not that it makes a lot of difference if you've got to order belts anyway, but like I say, the problem can be if you only have one in stock and you need 2. I'll just roll that pulley around a bit and try and get the worst of the little bit of black stuff on there. I was hoping I didn't have to buy another eBay belt kit. Actually, I think I might have actually ordered one, come to think of it. I think I decided I might as well get one for any stragglers here, like this thing. We seem to have got ourselves a hairy cicada has joined my belt collection. I didn't notice one of those come in here, but he must have got in here at some time. And they don't live for very long. Oh, he's attached himself to me belts. Let go. Maybe it's still alive. Yeah, I don't think he is. But a bit of a unique creature around here. So he can be our mascot for today, I think. He or she, no one would know it, I don't think, unless you're one of them. chop it open or something. I think I'm out of that size belt, that'd be right. So even my second eBay belt kit is just about stripped bare. Yeah, bigger or smaller. Bloody engineers always come on using the same size for everything. It's almost like it's always the same RPMs and stuff. Oh, we've got other belts in here, haven't we? I actually forgot about that. I've got a second little belt. Yeah, that one's slippery enough that I think it probably wants changing. So maybe we have them in stock. I completely forgot this mechanism had a second belt for some reason. Off you come. That's not coming out for some reason. What's it catching on? That's catching on the pause mechanism or something. That'd be right. Don't make me take the capstan out. I think we may have to take the capstan out. And these have got clips on them, I think. Yep. These belts will stick to anything, it seems. Let's pull it back the other way. So we're off that silly little thing. Can I hold it up to the hold it up to the wheel and rotate? That way it avoids getting hung up. Now I should have some of those smaller belts. Tons of the damn things. Ugh, got grease on me. Wow, is it tons of them? I think there's a whole belt kit's worth of unused ones here, and these, that's about the size, slightly smaller. So yeah, kind of pull it up to the wheel. Oh, I guess I should clean that pulley. That one's not too bad though. Yeah, that's now I've got some nice tension there. Let's keep that one to one side because that's an old one. I assume this would be identical, but you can't assume anything with these things. They might have changed the size on the pulley or something. So if we hold that up and rotate it around that way, we should be able to get it off. Nice. That's the technique. And yeah, I think that's the same size again. I think a couple of these belts are a bit too big. That one's a bit smaller. It's maybe even a bit too small. I think that'll be fine. That should work, I think, because the others are stretched a bit. Not much, but they are slippy. Yeah, you're not going to do anything with that in a hurry. So that's our dud belts. So at least I got rid of a couple more of these little belts out of here. I'm glad to actually get rid of them, because there's so many of them. They really overdid this end of the belt kit a bit, but I've used a few of them, so I won't complain. Now, to find, let's see if I've got a Wagner belt. This will be those 50s or something. What's the bet? 43, too small. 54 is getting there. And then the next one is a 57. And this is always the problem. It's always going to be the same ones over and over again. So I have to actually order some more. Plus, actually, that 57 is maybe a tad tight even, but the next one I got's a 66, so it's going to be way too big. Yeah, wow. The same size every damn time. So I might even have to wait until I think that one's almost a tad small. So somewhere between a 57 and a 66. I forget what other sizes there were, but I'm pretty sure I've used, well, where's the bag? Should be here somewhere, because I'm saving them a 60. And 63 I've used. Well, that's annoying. So I haven't got anything. We've replaced the little belts at least. So I'll either order a couple of 60s or, now that one was the thicker one. No, they're not actually, it is slightly, seems thicker anyway, but that was on that side, so I think I'll just put those belts back in. Unfortunately, it's the first time I've had to put them back in, so that shows how effective those eBay belt kits, which one was on the bottom? That's the bottom, so it goes second. Those eBay belt kits plus a couple from Wagner that I restocked have got me through all these boomboxes so far, which is rather impressive. And maybe a couple of older belts I had in stock, but most of those older belts, like usual, aren't getting used because I don't know why they invented them, because there's nothing that seems to use them in the real world, or at least nothing I've seen. Maybe some of the 70s decks or something, maybe some of those little shoebox cassette players or something. Maybe some of them just, you know, that they stocked them even though they made them in a certain range, even though they were never actually used in anything in the real world. Now I probably should have done it from this side, would have made more sense. Get that hooked over there, oh, come on. Or not made more sense. I don't know what's with this belt, but it does not want to go where it should. I mean, the deck's working, it just probably would make it work a little bit better if it was, I think this side was the slipperier one. And I've got to put that switch back in. Where'd it go? That's hiding in there. Making sure we get it in the right place. I think it's got, yeah, a little pin to go in one hole and then a screw in the other hole on that little bracket. So that should stop it from rotating or anything when it's pressed. Yeah, plate presses on it, that's all good. And do I need to give these buttons a bit more of a clean? I think I might have to put a bit of metal polish on those because they just look still a bit tacky. A few little corroded sort of marks on the top, and even a couple on the front. It'll make a nice difference if I can get rid of those. They seem to be coming off. Certainly improving it. I think it's left a couple of little sort of lumps there, but if the sort of visual side of it's gone is the main thing. Yeah, there are little lumps where the metal's lifting up or something. Some brown muck there needs to go, I think, because that's bound to be visible when the button's down. It's not coming off really. That's got the worst of it, I think. I got a bit of dust hanging on that. I'm not sure if I've given this a proper dust yet, but there's a hair or something, cat fur it looks like, white hair. Yeah, that has those buttons looking a lot better. But yeah, definitely little lumpy bumpy bits all over them where the metal's starting to peel up or something, or it's still a bit of oxidey stuff has grown on it. I don't know what exactly happens to this stuff, but unfortunately it does deteriorate. Oh, my little spring's dropped off. Record playback spring. Where did that go in that switch? Like that or something. Make sure we get all our little earth tabs back in place. I think that's sitting down about right. Now before I go any further, I better make sure I can get this record tab to stick back in its hole, which is one or two of them where that brown glue is. Don't think there's any need to glue it back in there. It's probably just for the factory so it doesn't drop off or something before they assemble everything. I assume that would be fitted in the cassette mech assembly line or something, and then who knows when attached to the circuit boards and stuff. So that'll have to wait for new belts for another day. Pretty standard procedure though, nothing exciting there to see. Now I unplugged that connector. Oh, I was messing around with capacitors and stuff. I've got an earth on. Yeah, it all works. I guess I better check if I can lift the record tab. Yeah, you can see that's moving the spring in there, which the spring up here, the lever and spring, it moves the switch. The other thing I was just going to check quickly, I've got to take all the knobs off to do it. I was going to check whether there's any more 100 microfarad caps under there, but okay, I'm going to be lazy because it looks like too much work. Now we have an erase head to plug back in. I forgot I've got to pull all those knobs off again, so I'll give it a miss. Don't think there was another one under there, but there could be one waiting to die. The other ones are, yeah, one in the radio here, one here. There was another one down near this Dolby chip. We already replaced that one here. And that was it. I think there's another cap that looks like one down there, but it's a 47 mic, so we'll assume that might not be as bad as the other one. Head wire went down there, and there must be another connector here somewhere for the... Oh no, that was a test point, that other one. That one went down near the record playback switch, since it's a record playback head. That was the motor connector. Yeah, the other little playback only head there. This thing's basically back together. I do need to get some dust out of the... I've cleaned all the bottom part of this one. Let's get that to one side. I'll just quickly get the dust out of our mascot. Might just give it a quick wipe. Get the worst of it out of it. Not that anyone will probably ever see inside this again anytime soon, but it doesn't hurt. Start to get the outside a bit cleaner. Yeah, tin her up wobbling around. A lot of dust under the handle there. And it actually needs cleaning down under those. Oh, missed. I need to use some cotton bud, it'd be better there. little bit. There's always a little bit more that you haven't got. Still, that's the worst of that. Much better looking than it was. Still a few little white dots and stuff, so I was hoping that was just a bit of Spidey poo or something, but it's... I think that's paint. I don't know how amazing what people get paint dots on absolutely everything, it seems. Filthy down in there, isn't it? My God. I thought this was one of the cleaner ones. Oops. Still got a bit of muck on it. That might even need a bit of polish on the antenna because it's a bit dirty in places still. Bit corroded on, I'd say. Dirt on every surface, just about. Okay, that's the worst of it. Still a bit in that corner. Okay. Just wipe a little bit of the cobwebs. Oh, one good thing about it, you don't have to have the chassis right inside the case to get the speakers to work. Yeah, what are we on? Radio. Oh, you do to get the FM antenna to work though. Double check the tape decks still work, especially since I've been fiddling around with belts and stuff. Fast forward, rewind. All good. And I just scored a whole pile of cassettes from the tip shop. So a couple of Pink Floyds, Dark Side of the Moon, Works. I was never a real massive fan of them. Even got the old Allen sticker on them, $10.99. That was a bargain, that one. Got Kate Sobrano, Australian singer. Recorded on BASF chrome tape. Well, this is another chrome one. Nice. So that was worth buying for $1 or so just for the chrome tape. I know they put some on chrome. Dolby Regular. Oh, that's a nice score. I was hoping I'd find one sooner or later that was actually a chrome tape. I doubt these are anything exciting, just the old blue, yeah, standard oxide sort of things. Interesting to see a few of these old pre-recorded tapes again. They were bland, most of them. Black on white or black on a creamy sort of colour. We've got Culture Beat, which was a later one. It's $20 at Kmart. This would have been early 90s, I think. No, wait up. When did this come? Yeah, it would have been early 90s. Not that, yeah, probably around 92, 93 or something, I think. So that's a nice clear tape. Dance Pool. Columbia Records. I don't think I'm even going to try and read the... Where's my magnifier? Read the text on the copyright on that. Let's see what... Wow, copyright 1993 Sony Music. Yeah, I thought Dance Pool was a Sony label. Maybe it's just Columbia Records or something. Here did it. I don't know. I don't know how all those labeling systems work. Probably shouldn't have them too close to the speakers. Supertramp. Breakfast in America. I think that's more a 70s one, isn't it? I remember them playing the hell out of Supertramp on the radio. Copyright 1979, A&M Records. Other problem is half these cases are pretty cracked and rough, so where you even get a good cassette case on these days. I do have some second-hand tapes here. Bananarama, that's early 80s, well, that's the best of. Greatest hits or whatever, so that'll be a bit later, I guess. I can't read that. 1988 is the copyright on that, so what's that tape look like? Another boring blue writing type one. Standard oxide. But they're a good go with for these boomboxes. Australian Crawl, recorded live last concert. The Final Wave. At least that's in a clearer tape. Yeah, these clear ones with blue text on them are pretty common for purchase tapes. We've got a date on this one, 1986. Oh, yeah, look at this. Thank you, beautiful people. No, well, it's got a nice little insert with a picture of them and stuff. Old James Rain on vocals. So, another nice one to get anyway. Doesn't look like they've had too much use of the actual tapes, but hard to tell often. But if they're not too dirty and scratched, they probably haven't been caned too much. And what have we got here? Status Quo from the World Record Club. A very boring looking tape. Polygram Records. I can't even remember what their songs are, but I'm sure I heard a few of them. Where's the date? Dolby-ized. Don't think it's got one. Well, what use are you guys if you don't put a copyright date unless it's right in front of me and I'm missing it? Made in Australia by, what the hell is that? FPRT? Oh, Polygram. Is it Polygram or something? Polygram Record and Tapes? I don't know. But I assume PRT, if that would be it, is Polygram. Oh, Polygram TV Merchandising. Huh. So it's something Polygram Records Television or something. So are they the annoying ones that used to advertise all this stuff? Probably. But I guess we can do a bit of a dub there. Let's have a bit of, listen to a bit of Aussie Crawl. Check that our record's working. That sounds like James Rain. That's no wonder that 23 FM took the mickey out of him, his singing style a bit. Now, which side is which? That's the problem with tapes, they're so difficult to use. I don't even know, must be something Errol. Downhearted was a half decent track. But it's going to take half an hour to rewind, it's the only hassle. But man, this thing looks a lot cleaner in the front now. Those buttons have come up a treat compared to what they were. It's, I wouldn't say it's mint, but it's getting close, this one. It's actually probably one of the nicest looking boom boxes I've cleaned up for lack of scratches and stuff. It's very lacking in scratches. Almost looks unused in that sense. Well, they're not very good live, I must say. Oh. That should have worked, shouldn't it? Yeah, there it is. Yeah, it seems to be slightly down on one channel on recording, so I'm not sure if I can do a lot with that. It may have adjustments in there somewhere. I know it had a lot of pots in this thing. record level, there we go. Let's have a look. I don't know if I want to fiddle with this too much, but so we've got 2 record level pots left and right, of course. Then we've got record play level left and right. PR level, RP, so maybe play left and right for the play only deck, and record play right and left level, so I guess playback levels. Could be something to do with Dolby as well. So we may need to tweak the record level slightly. We've got a bias adjustment, 2 pots there. I don't know if they're both bias. Bias, I can't read what it says after it. Oh, I wonder if one's for, has this got metal bias? I think it did. We're on normal tape, yeah, Dolby was off. So I could tweak that up ever so slightly, I guess. Which channel is that? We'll check by the back panel, get our thing out of the way. Mascot. Ah, bloody tapes everywhere. It just says external speaker. Well, I guess we'll go by the balance control then. You think they'd label them, but they don't. If we find out what channel it is via the balance control, that'll have to do. And where are we? Can adjust those pots from above by a little bit. There are small holes in the board. Because I was going to say, am I going to get to them? Or maybe I can flip the whole lot upside down. So, I forgot which way I had it. I don't really need to go back to it because I know. Look. So it's the right channel, maybe that just needs to ever so slightly go up. Not that far. Gone, right, record level, I'd assume tweaking it clockwise ups it a bit. So I should do this more scientifically, but we'll just tweak that up a little bit. Should really record a sine wave and check the levels, and I probably should have made sure the head was fully aligned perfectly and all that beforehand. But where's the fun in that? So listen, this tape should be a fairly good quality one. Don't know what that song is. No, we don't have any sort of search capacity here. Don't think these decks have the ability to do peer review. God, tape is slow. Still sounds a bit down. Seems fine on playback, it's just to record, unless I've turned it down. Absolutely perfect there. Oh, maybe I'll tweak it again. Let's really turn it in that direction and see if it goes up or down. Because you just don't know with these things. Where's my tape gone? Now it could be something with this tape, I guess. I don't know for sure the tape I'm recording on is perfect. pretty sure that's getting worse. That's what I suspected, is we probably got to turn it the other way. So that's clockwise, we're looking from above. That's maximum, so let's go a bit more that way. That's anti-clockwise. I think these go backwards. Now I just noticed this has the feature where if you're in dubbing mode with that switch and you hit play record on this one, nothing happens, it just sits there in pause until, that's what that little extra switch was for on that deck. When I press play on this one, it'll start that one. That's better. Certainly not as good quality as original, but those levels are pretty spot on now, so that fixed that issue. Good enough for me anyway. You should really, if you're doing it for a customer or something, you'd tweak everything, you'd record a 1 kHz signal and you'd check it on the oscilloscope and all that. None of this listening with your ears rubbish, but good enough for me for what I want. I'm just happy if it sounds like it's about right. So I think this thing is basically done. We've changed all the caps. I've got to get 2 new belts for it, of course, but as far as current repairs, I'll either order a couple of those from Wagner, or I think I ordered another kit from eBay, so I might wait till that shows up. The other thing I'll just quickly try is whether a bit of methylated spirits will remove these paint dots which are bugging me now. That's got a slightly different mark there, but sometimes they just come straight off with a bit of metho. Ooh, we've got some black stuff coming off, that's never a good sign. That means we're taking paint off the unit probably. So you've got to be a bit careful with the metho. But yeah, this paint isn't coming straight off. If I give it a bit of a scratch maybe. Yeah, I think the best one with this one is metho it and then scratch it. 3 little dots there, that seems to get them. It's not getting there, there's so many of them. The top is the worst part of this unit, the rest of it's actually close to mint. The front, besides the grills, you can see there's a brown stain there, that's rust. Another little bit there. I might even get some paint and just spray it on a cotton bud or something and see if I can just smear a bit across there rather than trying to paint the whole box. I mean, you'd really have to take the speakers out and stuff. I might have a quick look at one of these speakers, I guess, and see how dirty are they. I don't think they're dirty on the front particularly. There's probably a little bit of dust on the speaker. There's no silver dust caps or anything fancy. I guess we should have a look inside. Let's first, one of those graphic equalizers is looking a little bendy. And not the strongest bits of plastic, I don't think. But let's get our cabinet back together. Now what we're going to do, I think, is get these sockets and get rid of the speakers and power. Because I'm going to have to it's pretty fiddly, I think. Get the circuit board lined up with the sockets on the back coming out. Yeah, that's got it, I think. I caught a bloody speaker wire in there. Are you kidding me? Of course I did. Just when I got it in place, there's a speaker wire jammed in there. So I can see the sockets coming out the back there. Front still isn't quite right on the bottom. I think we got it. And I think there's a bit of muck in the battery compartment too. That's not much, just a couple of blobs of battery. Oh, there's a bit up there, it's not the best. Probably should clean that out. I hope there's the right screws for this thing, because man, they take a while to screw in. Yeah, that's the one's got to be. this is quite a nice box. This one sounds really good. It's probably, with the Panasonic one, the best sounding box I've heard so far. This sounds about as good as the Panasonic. It sounds mint, really. Probably as good as a cassette's ever going to sound. So I don't reckon these decks have done an awful lot of work. But that's a really good sounding deck, especially when you get a couple of these commercial tapes. At least these tapes look like they probably haven't had a lot of use by the sound of them, because they're still very fresh and new sounding. Sometimes tapes lost a bit of sound quality with time and use. Certainly with heavy use they did. Actually, we'll have to try the was it Kate Sobrano one, I think, with the chrome. I'll just remove, you can see all this horrible oxide stuff coming out of theirs from the batteries that have slightly leaked. Thankfully they must have got them out before they did any serious damage. And I'll need a battery cover. That's our main box done. Could do with a little bit more cleaning, but that's pretty good. It's got a lot of dots on top of them, which is annoying. I don't think that has any paint on it, so I could probably even use a bit of polish to try and remove that. These front bits are painted, I don't think the back stuff is. They do not want to come off. Yeah, if you give them a bit of a scratch, they tend to start coming. But that's annoying when there's so many. But these things, I don't know, they've always bugged me. I seem to see a lot of them on electronic equipment, but I don't know why my eyes notice them so much, but they really annoy me. So I might have to do a bit more work to that. Yeah, still a few there. But let's have a look at the dirt in the back of that guard. Just when you think you've nearly cleaned it, you spot the next batch. But we might as well have a look and see how low quality these speakers are. Though they sound quite good. The woofers look to be probably a little bit more high power, and that amplifier in this thing looked like a decent. I'll have to give it a bit of a crank up. I reckon this thing is, yeah, maybe 5 watts a channel or something, like proper 5 watts. At least on 240 volts it would be. On batteries it could be another thing. Oh, more muck underneath the battery stuff. Let's get rid of that off it and throw this in the rubbish. It's not all going to come off, I don't think. Camera. We've got a piece of wood in there. Look at that. So I've done that, I guess, to stiffen the cabinet up a bit. Pretty rare to see a piece of wood in a boombox, and possibly the first time I've ever seen a bit of it, just a bit of plywood. And there's the speaker. That's like probably 125mm, I guess. 3.2 ohms, doesn't give a wattage rating, made in Taiwan, only a little piezo, so there is no mid-range at all, of course. No shock there. I mean, it kind of looks like there is nothing there. It's just for looks. It does make them look a bit better. But yeah, just Taiwan, Republic of China, A78717, part number or something. So nothing exciting to see there. Let's give a quick look at that cone just to see if it does need a clean. There's a little bit of dust in the bottom of the box, but nothing to get very excited about. It's probably only going to gather more once I finish with it. Oh, look at that, it's got something splattered all over the speaker. Didn't notice that from the outside, which is good, and it's quite faded. But that definitely wants a bit of a clean. There's a layer of dust there. don't know what you can do once the cone's got those sort of darkened patches on it, other than somehow find something to darken everything up, but you can't really notice it through the grill. But the fact that grills have a bit of rust on them tells you something. Something's got on there, and maybe the paint just got scraped off. That's another possibility, and then just atmospheric moisture or whatever can cause them to rust. I'll just clean that up a bit. Yeah, don't know. In a perfect world, you'd probably, I don't know if you can get that grill cover off, not easily, so these are the bend up ones that are glued. You can get them off maybe with a bit of work. At least you could clean the silver bits up on the front, but they're not that dirty that it needs it. But yeah, even if you can get that glue loose, it can be rather difficult to get these off without bending anything, so definitely don't touch them if you don't have to. And yeah, it would be easy enough to remove the speaker and stuff and give this whole thing, oh, actually can't because of the silver bit, so yeah, you can't really spray it in situ because you will get spray paint all over your silver bits. Does it look much better than the other one? Yeah, now that you sort of look at it, you can probably tell it's not really obvious the dust in there. I won't even bother cleaning the other one now it's getting caught in there. But interesting, always interesting to see what they've actually put in there. Since they are a little bit deceptive, looks like they almost had a cover, or possibly could have had covers for that to put your wrapped up cord in, but I don't think there's one on the other one, is there? No. So this one, I'll just give it a quick clean. Paintbrush really isn't up to the job. But again, white dots all over the thing. Does look like spiders have been out this and crapping all over it, because it's splattered down the back. There's some in the little hole here, so that must have got in there from a spider or something, because it wasn't paint drops. So maybe this one has spent life in a shed or something. But spider poo should come off pretty easy. Maybe it's the texture on this plastic is holding it in place or something. Where's the that does not want to budge. Okay, what about scourer or something? Bit risky using scourer, but we'll just give it a quick, especially one that's a bit dirty itself. That stuff is stubborn as. It is coming, I think, but my god, it doesn't give up easily. Hopefully I'm not leaving more marks behind on what I'm taking off. Should really let that dry right out before I do any more, and don't think it should do anything to it, but you never know. Yeah, it's leaving a little bit of a different texture, I think. But it's got scratches all over it anyway. Yeah, it's unbelievably difficult to take off. Well, it's better than it was. It's not perfect yet. Yeah, it really sticks on. Yeah, that's leaving a little bit of a mark on there, so I don't think I'll continue with that, but that's probably as good as she gets. And that should be on that side, that should be on the other side. So maybe that's meant to be shoved in there somewhere. A cover would have been good for that, so maybe someone lost them. Maybe they never existed. I'm just going to poke it in like that for now. Save our mascot, although it doesn't look too good upside down. Yeah, so this is actually really good quality sounding. So with a good tape, it's amazing how good the quality is, and we're only just on a boombox, but very good quality sound. Much better than you'd normally get out of tape. So yeah, really good clean highs. Of course, got a bit of background noise there, but a lot of that's just the amplifier hiss and stuff. So that's one thing I forgot about. I knew there was a bit of tape hiss, but you forget that some of these amplifiers were pretty noisy anyway. Certainly weren't the best quality in these sort of boom boxes and stuff, but for a boom box and for a cassette, this sounds awfully good. But I'm not going to go back to this slow access. I mean, it's ridiculous. It must be like a couple of minutes to rewind a whole tape or something. So there's a lot of disadvantages and not many advantages to using tape. Just notice it says light emitting diodes optical display, and all we've got is operation, Dolby and dubbing. So they could have done a better effort with the LEDs, I think. But these mechs are actually surprisingly good, because they were a sort of cheaper mechanism. It shows they could work well. Possibly they actually got it right on these later ones, and almost sounds like they've over equalized the high frequency scale, the things like the hi-hats and stuff. They're almost overdone. This is actually not a tape that you can turn the Dolby on and it sounds about right compared to CD, so maybe that's why some of these tapes sound a lot better. They've just equalised the high frequencies up a heap to overcome the tape's normal limitations, as well as so that when you switch Dolby on it's about right, because a lot of them, you turn the Dolby on and it just kills the high end, even though they say they're for Dolby. Don't know if this one says anything about Dolby, unless it's in that real fine print, but they certainly got it sounding pretty good. Yeah, I could actually hear some of the synth and stuff in this better than on CD. So I think they've tweaked that up quite a bit, but it kind of works because it actually gets the highs out. It sounds a lot clearer than you expect tape to do. Let's not listen to the quiet a bit. Yeah, it's certainly up there with CD quality, that's for sure. But certainly nowhere near up for that CD accessibility. Well, definitely needs the equalizer boosting up a bit at the ends, but that sounds pretty good. Can't knock that at all for a portable stereo, and just for cassette generally. It sounds pretty good. Where's the other? Try a bit of rock again. Yeah, so that actually sounds pretty good on some of these tracks if you don't turn the bass up too much on Brian. Oh, well, I've got a nice pile of tapes for the collection. Better get our mascot back in place. And yeah, that all seems to work pretty well. I'd be happy with that if that was the only stereo I had to listen to for the rest of my life, as long as the tapes were all like the better ones. But that actually does the job rather well. I think I'll just get some black paint and fix those little rusty, might just need to sand them off a little bit. And yeah, just fix those couple of rust patches on the grills. And I will get some belts and replace those eventually, but no real rush. So it's good to actually get some electronic faults again, do some proper fault finding instead of mechanically pulling things to bits and fiddling with little fiddly bits. Speaking of those, I found my QT7 spring that I was missing, so I better put that back inside that unit. But this should all be ready to go for now, so thanks for watching.